first do this, let me kind of go over the basics of the game, and then we'll talk about safety tools. And then we'll make some characters. So this is a game that I designed, and I was really interested in designing a game specifically for two players about characters that team up together. To be very honest, this started out as a buddy cop team up type game. So if you remember the movie Lethal Weapon, that's kind of a classic quintessential buddy cop movie. I decided to move away from the cop theme for a variety of reasons. But the next genre that occurred to me was teaming up superheroes. And this is especially in Marvel comics, you see this a lot, sort of two superheroes who are used to working alone kind of come together to try and defeat the big bad. So that is our concept here. By the way, this is called CATS. This is just a little system that we use to explain games. So Team Up is about superheroes who are used to working alone, partnering up to take down the big boss. Really what this game is about is kind of resolving differences to build trust and ultimately defeat a villain that the individuals can't beat on their own. The tone, I will follow your leads. But generally speaking, my games kind of range in the PG to PG-13 realm, nothing too violent, maybe a little campy even. So I'm thinking kind of in the Saturday morning cartoon, more on the Saturday morning cartoon side than in the Netflix Daredevil side. Obviously, there will be some violence. You are superheroes after all. Maybe you're investigating, who knows what the villain is going to do here, but probably some pretty bad things. And ultimately, this is a game about trust, right? So ultimately, you are trying to build trust between the two of you, and that may involve some betrayal. I ran a longer arc of this game a couple of months ago, and we had one session that was almost like a marriage counseling session where the two superheroes had sort of had this setback and they were trying to resolve their differences. I found it very intriguing and cathartic myself. Anyway, that's an overview of the game. Does anyone have any questions about it, or do you want to talk about any kind of subject matter or tone that you are interested in or want to stay away
from? It seems pretty clear to me. I don't think I have any big leanings in terms of tone, so I'm happy to follow along.
Great.
Same here. Yeah, I'm pretty much willing to do the range that you set there.
All right, great. Let's see where it goes. So the next thing I want to talk about is safety tools. Rod, this is something that the Gauntlet takes very seriously. This is your second game on the Gauntlet. I assume that on your first game you saw this as well. But we think a lot about how to make sure our players at the table are comfortable, that they feel safe, that they can sort of be as present as possible for participating in the game. So I use 3 safety tools in my games. I'm open to using others, so just let me know if you want. I will go over those safety tools now. The first one is called Open Table or Open Door. This simply means that you are welcome to walk away at any moment if you do not feel comfortable or if you've got something else going on in your life that needs your attention. You don't owe us an explanation. It's helpful if you can let us know what the timing is, whether you'll be coming back or not. But I do want you to know that you've got the option of just walking away. The other night in one of my games, someone had to leave the game because they were dealing with some family issues. Nothing serious, but it was something that needed their attention. Because this is just a 2-player game, if one of you walks away, we're going to need to stop the game. That is okay. Right? Your safety, your comfort, your needs are much more important than this game. So that's Open Table or Open Door. The second safety tool that we're using is called X-Card. This one has been around in the community for a little while. X card simply means when something in the story makes you uncomfortable, or you don't like it, or is frustrating, you activate the X card. We have a couple of ways of doing that here online. Our dice roller, which I'll pull up in a second, has an X card button. You can also type an X into the chat like I just did. You can hold your hands up. Most of us are comfortable enough to just simply say, I need to X card that. People on my games have X carded all kinds of things. Names of NPCs. It reminded them of a former relationship that they didn't want to be reminded of. So they X carded that. Particularly traumatic character backgrounds. They X carded that because they didn't, even if it wasn't their character, someone else's character. So I want to encourage you to make use of that X card if you feel like we're heading in a direction that you don't like. Simply X card, we'll rewind and we'll restart the story without that detail involved. It's important to me, if we were playing multiple sessions, this is especially true. Sometimes it's hard to X card in the moment, or you don't even realize it in the moment. So we often encourage folks to X card after the fact too. So if something bothered you during the story, or as we get into the break, or when we come back from the break, feel free to shout out the X card even long after the fact. And then the last one is lines and veils. You should both, looks like I've got two people in the character keeper, so hopefully that is both of you. Lines and veils are sometimes not called lines and veils, is a tool that we use to consider various topics or subject matter that might come up in the course of a game. A line is a topic that we have chosen to exclude from the game altogether. So, by way of example, as a parent, I really don't like the idea, or even not as a parent, I don't like the idea of violence to children. So I always check that one off. We don't even give the option of veiling sexual violence. Obviously, that is a line. A line is a topic that we do not bring up in the game at all. A veil is subject matter that we might refer to, but the action largely happens off screen. So if you've read any young adult novel, anytime sex comes up, it is implied, but then they cut the chapter and we don't actually get to see any of the action. And that is how we use a veil. Any topic that we can acknowledge, say happens, but we don't go into much detail. So before we check these off, I want to ask, does anyone have any questions about any of those safety tools? To recap, we're using Open Door, we're using X card, and we're using lines and veils. Rod, do you have any questions about any of those? Are there any other safety tools that either of you would like us to use? All good? All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and give you all a moment to check off topics in the lines and veils, and just shout out done or enter done into the chat to let me know when you are finished. Oh, by the way, and if there's other topics that we don't have listed there, feel free to add them to the bottom of the list. By the way, if one person checks off line and another person checks off veil, we always go with the stricter of the two.
Yeah, those are good ones. I don't have anything myself, but if something comes up, I will let you know.
Please do. Please do.
Mhm.
All right, friends, that is our business out of the way. I want to get into creating characters, if that is okay with you all to start that process. Like I said, this is a game that I wrote myself. I've played it several times. It's in pretty good shape. But as always, it's a game in development. So feel free to give me feedback at any time. One of the things that I wanted to try and do in this game was really make it about the relationship between the characters. So characters individually do not have any stats whatsoever. In fact, there's just a single stat, and that is trust, right? And so your trust level really dictates how much you all can do together. Throughout the course of the game, your trust level will go up, allowing you to be more powerful. But because I'm going to share my screen again, let me know if that is not working for you all. Sometimes people find it a little disorienting. But I'm going to share, dropped a copy of the rules into our Google Drive. Let me make sure you have a link to the Google Drive. So I'm looking at the rules, and one of the things, the first thing that we need to do is pick the relationship type. So again, this is not like each of you as separate characters. Because we're telling a story about your relationship, we're going to pick the kind of relationship that you have. There's really 7 kinds of relationships. Some of them deal with a power dynamic, and some of them are more equitable. I will go over those relationships just real quick at a high level, and then we can talk about which one interests you. So there are power dynamic relationships where one person is clearly has more power than the other. What I've done mechanically in this game is given the person with the role with less power, additional moves to make things presumably a little bit more equitable in terms of the narrative. Anyway, we've got the teacher-student relationship. Batman and Robin is sort of the quintessential example of this. We've got the hero sidekick relationship. This is sort of like Captain America and Bucky from the old version of Captain America and Bucky. We've got the hero slash support, hero and support. I think of this as like Batman and Alfred. Support is sort of the guy in the chair, the person who hangs back at the Batcave and feeding information to Batman in his ear. So those are the 3 power dynamic relationships. Like I said, each one of these has an extra move to kind of compensate for the power dynamic. There are 4 kinds of equitable relationships. One is brains and muscle. This is like Rocket and Groot from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. One is order and chaos. My original idea was Cable and Deadpool, but Falcon and Winter Soldier is a pretty good example of order and chaos, where Falcon is trying to paint within the lines, let's say, and Winter Soldier has a more chaotic view of the world. Even Vision and Scarlet Witch, I think, give us a good example of this, where Scarlet Witch is more on the chaos side, and Vision is more of the rule follower. We've got complementary powers. I think of this as like Ant-Man and the Wasp. They've got similar powers, or Cloak and Dagger. They've got opposing powers. And then the last one is called Mutual Admiration Society. This is basically Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Really don't have much in common, other than the fact that they have similar views on the world. And that's what, and they really respect each other. And that's what drew them together. So I went over those pretty fast. Do you have any questions about any of them? And if not, maybe Rod, I will put you on the spot to ask, are any of these jumping out at you as a relationship that you would like to try?
I would lean more towards the equitable relationships,
Okay.
but I'm pretty much open to trying anything.
Were any one of those in particular something that you were excited to try to play?
Um, let's see. There's Brain Muscle, Order, Chaos. Could you scroll down again?
Yeah, complementary powers and mutual admiration society.
I think the first three are I'm not really narrowing it down too much, but um, the first three I kind of what was the second one again? That was the Chaos Order.
Yeah, order.
Okay, yeah. Maybe either that or complementary powers.
Okay.
I don't know.
Donna,
Again, I'm open to anything.
cool. Donna, did you have anything you were gravitating towards?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking pretty much along the same lines. I really like the complementary powers one. Um, maybe more on the cloak and dagger kind of opposites kind of side of things.
Love it.
But yeah, works for me.
Yeah. Would that be okay with you, Rod?
Yeah, that sounds like we're on the same page.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to switch over to our character keeper. The character keeper has this kind of relationship stack here on the right. I don't know that I've ever played with complementary powers, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I feel like I updated the character keeper, but we will make use of this one. We will do our best to squeeze into this one. So now I think this gets, now that we've sort of laid the groundwork for that, the hard part is kind of thinking of the concepts for each of your characters. Let's not sweat too much trying to get them as perfect opposites. But where I find it easiest to start is to kind of look at the power tags for your characters, and maybe thinking through what kind of powers you have. The way this works is you pick these tags that are sort of descriptive in terms of the powers. I wouldn't worry too much about getting these exactly right. There's not a huge mechanical difference between picking one tag over another. If a tag is applicable to the thing that you are doing, depending on the move, you get a certain bonus. So there's not really any further description of each of these. I guess, Donna, I'll start with you. Are any of these power tags jumping out at you, things that you want to try?
So again, I'm trying not to think too much of what could be like a complementary power. I'm just picking out what's cool on this list for me.
Yes.
I like, it's first on the list, enhanced perception.
Okay.
Whatever form that might be.
I'm not seeing the list. I'm sorry. Okay, now I see it.
Yeah, my screen share, is that coming through?
Yep. Yeah. But could you enlarge it a little bit? I'm sorry.
No, no problem. It's a reasonable request.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You know what? I found a better character keeper. So I'm going to try and quickly recreate that while you look for some power techniques. So Donna, you had said enhanced perception.
Yeah, right? That's right.
Were there any others that you were interested in?
I think I wonder if I could. I know it can be kind of awkward sometimes, so I'll stay away from it if you don't like it. But I like the idea of playing with time as well.
I like it.
Okay, cool. Maybe I'll just go for all my eggs in one basket kind of trifecta and go with like telepathy or something. Go with a very mentally oriented superhero.
That sounds great. So you've got time, you've got enhanced perception, and you said telepathy. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Maybe do you have some ideas for how all of those things kind of come together?
I wonder if we do something along the lines of sorry, let me just check.
Yeah, take your time.
Or lines and veils. Yeah, I think seems okay, but I totally change it. Maybe some, kind of black ops, governmental meddling or experimentation, to create some kind of superhero in a vat or in the lab.
Okay. That's your sort of background.
Yeah. And I think maybe the way they work together is like the enhanced perception and telepathy kind of are in the same bailiwick, but maybe the time thing is not so much time travel, but kind of prediction or analysis at a really
I like that.
high rate, right? So you can tell what's going to happen before it does, something like that.
I like that a lot. All right, I'm going to ask, because I know my brain can only do one thing at a time. I found a better character keeper, so I'm going to switch us over before we get too far along. I think I've largely cleared this out, but this was the character keeper I was using with my kids. So you see something interesting in there? That's what it's from. All right. If I give you this character keeper, is that coming through?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's loaded now.
Cool. Yeah, that's a little better. All right. So, Rod, were you able to get there?
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. We'll keep the lines and veils in the other one. So I'll keep that one up. All right. So, Donna, if you want to take the blue Hero 1 slot and enter your name and add those power tags there. Rod, maybe I'll come over to you. Based on kind of what you're hearing, do you have some ideas as to what your powers might be?
So you had picked time, perception, and telepathy. I mean, so let's go with space to complement time.
Yep. So I wonder if that's maybe more energy or something like teleportation, which I don't know that I have enhanced movement.
Yeah, I like that. Would teleportation be a different tag than space, or that all included kind of?
I was brainstorming about what space could mean.
Oh, okay. All right, that's cool. Yeah. Space. Let's go with agility.
Okay.
Time, space.
And you want to take another one?
Yes. Let's do. Um, hmm. Let's just do weapons.
Yeah, I like that, where it feels like Donna's character is more like internally facing, with the telepathy and stuff. And I like the idea of maybe the complement to that is someone a little bit more externally facing. So your power is in this weapon rather than in your mind, kind of thing. Does that sound right to you?
Sounds good.
All right. So, Rod, you can take the red slot here and enter your power tags here. I may not have mentioned this, and I assume you did this in the previous Gauntlet game that you played, and I don't know if you played much RPGs online, but we use these Google Sheets now in lieu of character sheets. So.
Let's see. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, I'm feeling the opposing forces here, the complementariness of this. So what's next here is to kind of think about your individual characters. We'll then kind of think of some NPCs, which give us some fodder for our improvisation, and then we'll talk a little bit about your relationship. But let's first come to the individual characters. And I can ask you just all three of these questions, or whichever one you feel like best describes your character. But Donna, do you have a sense of what incident put your hero on the map? What incident brought your hero to the attention of the public of the city that you all are in?
So I think. So yeah, maybe we see like a front page news or a top of the hour news story where some anonymous call to, well, anonymous at the time, right? But they figure it out to the city's authorities warns of like a series of attacks or a series of accidents, quote unquote, that are going to happen. All with like an exact kind of description of who's going to do them and how you stop them and everything like that.
Love that. Did you then sort of since then kind of make yourself known to the city, or have you kind of laid low?
I think maybe there's been a little bit of a expose done, which has kind of led to the character kind of revealing themselves a little bit more. Maybe the powers that be don't like anonymous sources and wanted some kind of face-to-face or some kind of authentication. And maybe that'll feed a little bit into the paranoia of being the product of a government experiment, right? But that's a conflict I'm happy to swing into.
That paranoia persists to this day. You still have maybe issues with authority figures.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think we'll go with that.
And what kind of, is the public aware of you, or is it just kind of the city officials who are aware of you?
I think there's got to be some enterprising reporter out there. I mean, probably a blogger or something who has done some kind of piece to um, to bring the kind of more human, kind of the civilian side to the front. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of reticence in terms of exposing exactly what's going on behind the cape, behind the mask.
So you would say that maybe your reputation is mysterious.
Yeah.
Love that. And one more question: do you have a main nemesis in this city? Who is the Lex Luthor to your Superman?
Yeah, I wonder if there is someone on that kind of mysterious dossier of countermeasures who succeeded because they kind of foresaw the interference and had a plan B, or always had a plan B for it. Like someone who could maybe outthink or foresee a little bit better than our hero.
So I just had an idea, and this is such a trope in this kind of thing, but maybe your nemesis is another product of the experimentation, but they went
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that is good. Like my next door VAT partner or whatever.
Yeah, we were in the same vat together. Some of us
Yeah.
go good, some of us go bad. Yeah, my vat mate.
My VAT mate, yeah.
Yep. And that is all I want to say about that. That was awesome. Great. Donna, that was perfect. I love where this is going. So maybe start thinking of what their cape name is. The game kind of assumes that your identity is secret. So you've got a public or a cape persona and then a civilian persona. We're going to want to make use of both of those. So maybe start thinking about that a little bit. And I'll come over to Rod. Rod, first question for you would be sort of what incident in the city put you on the map? And in my imagination, whereas Donna's character was very much behind the scenes, not public, complementary, opposing is this was very flashy, very big. That's in my imagination. I don't know if you have something different in mind.
Yeah, I think that fits with another idea I was having, since Donna's character has kind of have authority problems. I thought maybe I would work for a very hierarchical, either a company or the government or something like that.
Perfect.
Um,
And so was there some big incident in the city that kind of made everyone aware of you?
right. So let's say I worked for a company and they actually had a press release, a press whatever conference
Event, press conference.
where I was announced. Trying to think. I think it would make sense if it was a security type company, and I'm kind of their mascot in a way.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Have you watched the TV show The Boys or read the comic?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of that, where there's this sort of very corporate enterprise that's built up around the superheroes, and really, really messed them up quite bad. Yeah. That's awesome. And so they sort of I wonder if the city has outsourced their, let's call it, problem solving to this organization that you work for. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, that's fine.
What is your relationship to the organization? Are you bought into the hype? Are you starting to be suspicious of the hype? Are you irritated with everything?
Oh no, I'm a company man. Yeah, I will. I believe in what they're doing and trying to make the city safer. And yeah, I absolutely love my job.
That's adorable and awesome. I'm super excited about this group. So have your actions kind of lived up to the reputation? Like, do the public look at you and think, oh, I feel safer with this person around? Or is it more like kind of Avengers 2, where you're sort of kind of making a mess of the world and trying to save it? What is I'm trying to get at, what does the public think about you?
Can we say I'm very new to the scene and the public has not decided?
Right. So you've got those people who are like 100% behind you. They're excited. And maybe there's sort of those outspoken few who are like, why is the city outsourcing its public safety to this private company? And so there's maybe a little bit of suspicion in some pockets of the city, just of the company in general. Does that sound right?
Sure.
But largely you are an unknown quantity. So I'm going to say your reputation is more like, it's not mysterious, but it is, we're withholding judgment. And do you have a main nemesis? Like someone that maybe you've fought once or twice before?
So yes, I would like the nemesis to be mysterious. Yeah, so someone who's trying to infiltrate the company. And there's not much known about this person, other than it's a shadowy cloaked figure.
When you said that, it made me think of like a computer hacker, like someone who's trying to break in use a cyber hacking to kind of break into the company to maybe expose some of its secrets.
Yeah.
But we will play to find out more. That's awesome. I think that kind of gives us some nice pictures. I was going to move on to the next step, unless there are any other details you all wanted to add at this point.
Your cape name is 13?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
13.
I mean, obviously, it's the VAT number, right?
Yes.
Right. I mean, technically it's 13B, but that's kind of a mouthful. So that's great. And Rod, you can start to think about your cape name, and I will come back to Donna. Basically, I will cut and paste this into the chat. But these are 4 possible ties that you have. Ties are folks from your civilian life who you have some kind of obligation to. And you can choose one of these, or you can make up your own. And the point of these mechanically is that your cape life sometimes impinges on your civilian life. For me, the example is Spider-Man stands up Mary Jane on a date, right? And so he's off fighting crime, and so he leaves Mary Jane high and dry on a date. So that's the kind of dynamic that we might have. One version of this game I played, a young hero had obligation to care for her aging parents, and often neglected them because she was out fighting crime. So Donna, do you have any ideas for which of these, or whatever you want to make up, might be your ties?
I mean, I was initially drawn to best friend from school, but I don't think that works if I grew up in a vat, so or on a facility. So I think
I
Yeah,
mean,
we could
maybe.
make it work, but it's not easy, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think maybe a work colleague from civilian life.
Okay. And what is maybe your civilian day job, if you've got an idea for that?
Do we want to tie this into your character Rod and maybe say like a software developer or something like this, where there could be a tie with your nemesis? You know.
Feel free. Sounds fine.
Yeah, if we need a reason to come together, or maybe the background is that
That would
you're
make sense.
investigating your nemesis, and then we come across each other that way.
That makes sense.
If we want to go for complete melodrama, obviously the work colleague I have a crush on is your secret nemesis, but
we'll
but
see.
Let's not go that far.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, anything can happen.
So yeah, let's say a work colleague from my civilian life.
Okay. Ideally, you have 2 ties, but if you want to just
two.
That's quite all right. If you want to just do one for now, we can do that.
So I wonder if there is a mentor who helped hone my powers. So someone from the facility, if we'll call it that, who we have a complicated relationship, obviously, given the history, but
right.
Still an important person.
Right. And the trope might be that they feel guilty, like they sort of harboring some guilt, and so they're doing their best to help you integrate into the society and not hold that bitterness too much. I love that. I think that sounds great. So Rod, we will come to you. There's a different list for you. Let me cut and paste that.
Okay. Can I ask if I can change a power tag?
Yeah, of course.
Can I change? So one of my favorite superheroes is Longshot from Marvel.
Okay.
I don't want to make an exact analog, but so maybe can I change weapon for luck power of some sort?
Oh yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that I like that. So it's sort of like whereas 13 can sort of predict the future, your luck power kind of makes the future bend towards what will be helpful for you.
That's cool. Yeah.
I like that. And Donna, if you want to maybe give us some names for those ties, that would be helpful. And then Rod, for your character, I put the list in the chat. None of these might be reasonable fits, so if you want to pick from the previous list too,
okay.
I will leave it up to you. Does any of these jump out at you?
Let's see, person responsible for giving you your powers.
Actually, the last one on that list might be great.
A work colleague from your civilian life. A work colleague. None of your key identity. A former partner who is somewhat jealous of your new partner, your romantic interest. All right, so let's say the person responsible for giving me my powers is actually a wizard, a sorcerer of some type.
Okay.
When it says former partner, is that former superhero partner, or is that?
That was the intent.
Okay.
But I'm open to whatever you want to do. And if none of these fit and you've got a different idea, happy to entertain a different idea.
Right. A new romantic interest.
That I like. Did you sense that this romantic interest is because of your cape identity, or is this someone that you're trying to cultivate a relationship with outside of work, like to kind of separate yourself from the hero business?
All right. Let's make it a coworker.
Okay, someone at the company.
Right.
Yeah. So if you can come up with some names for those folks, I'm going to move us along just so we can get through. There's just a couple things left. So I've got some questions for you. Actually, you know what? I feel like we've got enough to work with. So I'm going to skip the questions about each other and just come to the duo power move. So basically what a duo power move is like a special power up that you can use when you're fighting together. There's no mechanical distinction between this. It's basically in the game, it serves as sort of a resource that you can spend to kind of boost a roll. I'm going to share my screen one more time so you can see this list of duo power moves. Looks like I've got 8 of them. Distraction. One hero creates a distraction to provide an opportunity for their partner. A view from above. One hero takes a different vantage to feed their partner new information. Lure. One hero draws the adversary in to provide an opportunity for their partner. Powers combined. The heroes combine their powers in a unique way. Set spike. One hero lines up the adversary to let the partner let loose a powerful attack. Covering fire. One hero unleashes an attack to let their partner maneuver into a strong position. Clever patter. The heroes banter with each other and the adversary to get under their skin. And then spirited talk. The heroes shout encouragement to each other to build their confidence. So again, no mechanical distinction between these. We will rely on this to kind of help guide the fiction if you make use of it. Donna, I'll start with you. Do any of these seem like a good fit for you, or which ones of these jump out at you?
I mean, I am always I always enjoy some clever patter, but I wonder if something like set spike or distraction would kind of suit the dynamic I think we probably might have.
Yeah, those all could be really interesting. I don't know. Rod, do any of those 3 jump out at you?
Powers combined might be
Oh,
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, that could be kind of cool. Between telepathy and space, or space and time. Who knows what will happen when you mix space and time together? What do you think, Donna? Does you want to?
I mean, obviously the TV show is called Time and Space, right?
Yes, the continuum. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Gosh, now I just want to read this comic book. Yeah, should we say powers combined and see what happens when we try that? Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's cool by me.
All right, great. So we put that here. Let me add your relationship move. All right. And Rod, if you could come up with some names. Fortune is perfect. That's great.
I mean, 13 is unlucky for some, right? But
Yeah, no. Maybe that's the reason why you survived all of this experimentation. So since we have a few minutes before the top of the hour, what I think I will ask you this. A couple of questions just to flesh out our fiction. What incident maybe brought you to the attention of one another? One thing that occurs to me is that maybe 13 was present or observing the press conference where Fortune was announced. But I'm wondering if maybe something else kind of really introduced you to. That's like not introduced in a deep way, but you sort of became aware of each other. I don't know. Donna, do you have any ideas about that?
So I wonder if one of those kind of incidents was, aimed at the company's assets in some ways,
Nice.
and Fortune was kind of sent to enact the plan that 13 had suggested. But maybe there's a little bit of steerage was required. Maybe it was a little bit chaotic, and 13 reached out to Fortune with telepathy to kind of give a couple of hints, like being the radio and the earpiece kind of setup.
Rod, is that all right with you? Does that sound okay?
This is our first meeting, I guess.
Yeah, sort of an incident like that kind of brought you to the attention. So 13 kind of alerted the company to a potential attack. You showed up to thwart the attack, but 13 had to continue to feed you information telepathically.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
Love it. Rod, what about 13 makes you, Fortune, uneasy? Like you had this, I mean, you obviously had a voice in your head, which is pretty unnerving, but I wonder if there's something else about 13's powers or 13's background that makes you especially uneasy.
Just that X factor of I don't know if are you kind of like a loose cannon maybe? I don't know if that's how you envision yourself, or
I don't think it's how I envisage
how unpredictable.
13, but it could be that the people in control are not in control of 13, and therefore he is being kind of tagged as a loose cannon,
a free agent.
A free agent, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think I love that. Like the idea that he's not associated with a company or an organization. How could he? Like, how does he know that he's doing the right thing if he doesn't have someone telling him what the right thing is? That's great. So I'm going to, with the last 2 minutes before top of the hour, I'm going to tee us up for our scenario, and then we can pick that up right when we get back. I think the city has announced that they're going to go green and that they're going to stop drawing power from coal and fossil fuel power sources, and that the city will be entirely powered by green energy sources like wind powers. They're unveiling some wind turbines in the bay of their city. They are unveiling solar panels on tops of all of the buildings, all the kind of big buildings in the city. And they've even converted one of the public parks to be a wind farm. And so they're really kind of going all in on this. So there is a press conference where this is the mayor is announcing this initiative. I'm wondering, maybe Fortune, are you, since the company provides security, maybe I can imagine you being there at this press conference to
Sure.
provide security for the mayor. Does that sound right?
Sounds good. Yeah.
And uh, tell me a little bit about your uniform. Are we kind of Captain America, brightly colored, very patriotic, or what's kind of like the main color scheme on your uniform?
Right. So I guess there's a military sense of fashion, though
Okay.
it's not actually military. Um, yeah, very neat. Color scheme, we'll go with black, orange, and white.
Okay. Yeah. Sort of very. I mean, I'm picturing you like just the side of a military uniform. Um, uh, so I like that a lot. So your presence is fairly obvious here. I would think. Like you are the flagship hero for the company. You are providing security for this major event where this major change is being announced. Um, Donna, where do you imagine 13? Is 13 uh, near City Hall where this is being announced? Is he just at his day job? Is he at home watching this announcement on TV? Where do you imagine 13 is?
I wonder if maybe I'm doing my day job on site. Maybe we're doing some development for this big project.
Right.
Whatever software is going to be required to help people out. Maybe there's an app, right, that people can use to help get their solar panels installed and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, you just
setting that up.
Yeah, you just gave me an idea too that they've set up a new command center at City Hall where they can kind of keep track of the energy savings in the city. And so if you're a software engineer, you're kind of on site getting this command center set up. Does that sound okay?
Cool.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And just as the mayor is making this announcement, you hear the kind of the power cuts out, and you hear this announcement kind of over loudspeakers, and someone says, you hear a kind of sinister voice saying, I am Lord Petrol. I do not believe that green power is the way to go. You will destroy this city. And so by using this green energy, everyone should make use of fossil fuels. And I will make sure of that. And he had hidden something in the press conference area, these kinds of little explosive devices that were not harmful, but they produced kind of black goop that got everybody soaked in an oil-like substance. And we will pause there for our break, and we will see how you two come together to defeat them. I've got 3 minutes past the hour. Let's take a 10-minute break and reconvene at 13 past the hour. Sound okay? Great. See you shortly. Me. Thank you, Zoom lady. We have established our main villain, Lord Petrol. That's as good as I get in naming things. So if anyone has a better idea, I'm open to it. The press room, the mayor's staff are all covered in black goop now. The way this game, I will give you a quick overview of rules before we dive in. But basically, there's sort of two kinds of moves. There's teamed moves or trust moves. These are moves that you are always making together, right? So as the fiction, when the two of you are working together, you're making a trust move. The game rewards you using those moves. The game wants you to use those moves. There are a number of moves, or there are a couple moves that let you do stuff on your own. The game discourages you from using those moves. So there's a price to pay to use those, to use the kind of go it alone type moves. As I said, there's one stat, which is the trust meter. Because this is a one shot, I'll start you off on the second level, which means you have a 0 is the trust score. Rod, I didn't ask, have you played Powered by the Apocalypse games before?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, that sort of generally the range and ability scores is kind of on the -2 to +2, +3 side. So this is a Powered by the Apocalypse game. So we'll start you off at 0 on the trust meter. And we do have a set of downtime moves. These are sort of moves that we can use between scenes to kind of replenish, build up your connection with each other, or just tell other parts of your civilian life story. And I'd be open to doing those whenever you all want to kind of take a break between scenes or what have you. So I just wanted to paint that picture at a high level. I have an idea for how things escalate, but I'm curious, maybe Fortune, what is your immediate reaction to this attack?
Get the mayor to safety.
Okay, so you're going to kind of protect the mayor. What is there a safe room? Is there something in the building place that you go for that sort of thing?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would think there'd be something set in a nearby building. Is the press conference at the mayoral, like, governmental building?
Yeah, the city hall.
Mayor,
Yeah,
City Hall. Okay,
yeah.
right. So yeah, so I'm ushering him off, and I'm looking to see if there's any immediate threats in the area.
Okay, sounds good. Well, hold on that for a sec. 13, you are in the command center, the newly installed command center in City Hall, right? Obviously, you've sort of heard this commotion out there, but I'm curious, just does 13 have an immediate reaction? And you're in your civilian garb.
Yeah.
So
you know, I think when we first see 13, you know, in his, I guess, you know, polo shirt and jeans or whatever,
right,
he's like underneath or inside a cabinet trying to hook up some server to connect everything, and maybe they've had some issues, which is why he's been distracted, because, you know, with his powers, he really should have seen this one coming.
Right.
But, you know, too busy. Even superheroes are not good at multitasking some of the time.
Right. You got to put food on the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I wonder if you know, there's a bunch of us here from the company.
Yep.
So maybe my first thought is that I wonder if Suzanne, my crush, is all right. You know.
Okay.
So you know, I'm not on mission. So I'm definitely in my on Civvy Street in terms of my mindset.
Okay. Is she working? Is she like another software developer who's?
Yeah, it says work colleague, so I'm presuming that we're kind of in the same job.
Is she at the command center, or is she somewhere else?
If we want to up the stakes a little bit, maybe she had just gone downstairs into kind of the main area.
What a good idea.
To you know, to hook something up or to get
right
something.
Maybe just let them know,
or just have a coffee break. You know, watch the press conference, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm gonna say it's kind of total chaos, obviously, in the press room. Because of your telepathy, maybe you can kind of sense, you know, the chaos. Maybe you're getting it's hard for you to get a bead on Suzanne because there's so much going on. But you do have an understanding that Fortune is there, right? This is someone that you've communicated with telepathically before. I think just as you are kind of getting your bearings, a number of the Lord Petrol's goons break in to use the chaos to break into the control center, and they are specifically wanting to, there's like half a dozen of them, because they knew all they would be facing is some computer geeks, so they're trying to take down the control center. What do you do?
Muted myself. Sorry. I think I'm buying myself some time, right? So maybe I am in the kind of physical activity that 13 doesn't usually get into, is like standing up against the door, blocking it to hold them out, if that makes sense, and then just like reaching out with my mind to Fortune, to alert him to what's going on.
Okay, I love that. What are you saying to Fortune?
Fortune, whatever's going downstairs, upstairs, these guys are making their move.
Is it clear from the scenario what he means by upstairs?
Yeah, I think you have a pretty good sense of the layout of City Hall.
Okay.
So I think maybe you're surprised that this telepathic friend, pen pal that you have, is upstairs and knows anything about it. So that might be a little surprising. So, Donna, let me ask, did you sense that your telepathy kind of worked two-way? So if you were connected with someone, they could communicate back to you?
Oh, yeah, I think maybe it takes a little bit more effort. So I have, instead of just a pulse, I kind of have to hold the signal open, and then we can talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Fortune, what is? Do you respond, if at all?
How many?
Nice.
I don't know, half a dozen maybe. I'm trying not to get a complete count. I'm holding them out of the center now, but they're gonna smash through pretty soon. You've got 27 seconds.
All right.
Love it.
I will grab a policeman or a guard and have them usher the mayor not towards the building if that's where the fighting's going to be, but perhaps to a car waiting by to get him out of here.
So you're having someone else secure the mayor,
right?
And you're heading upstairs,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah, and I think you can see Petrol's goons, who I think I've decided to call the Gas Squad, because I'm terrible at naming things. The Gas Squad is like, they're all kind of wearing sort of jumpsuits and things like that that say Gas Squad on the back, and they're trying to break down this door that 13 has locked. The door has green energy control room or command center stenciled on it. So you're seeing 6 or 7 of these folks pounding on the door, and they're it's an office door, so they're about to get it loose. What do you do?
So I say, gentlemen,
shall we dance?
And I'll just charge into them, I guess.
Okay, great. 13, are you working the other angle now that you know that Fortune is there?
Yeah, so I think, there is one of those thin slit windows in the doorway, with the wire mesh in it. And I guess I'm going to look through it and see the position of the gas heads, or whatever we're calling them.
Yeah.
And then, because I guess it's a one-on-many fight, I'm going to be like feeding information and like moves before they happen from the goons across to Fortune.
Love it.
You know, and then I think when there's a moment of respite, you know, whoever the guy who's still trying to get in, you know, I'm just going to open the door and let him fall in, you know, and kind of use that as another kind of kick in their plans.
Okay, great. So this gives us an opportunity to roll some dice, which I admit sometimes I forget to do in these games. I've got a dice roller set up for us. This is called rollwithme.xyz. This was created by actually a Gauntlet team member or a Gauntlet community member, John. And so far, I think it's the best dice roller. So we are activating a move called coordinated attack. This is when, and I will share my screen briefly just so you can see it in case you don't have the rules up. But coordinated attack, when you together pursue, evade, get physical, or start shooting, describe your approach, and roll plus trust. We can, I think you've done a pretty good job describing the collaboration style. I can show you what that means in just a sec. And basically, the way this game works is we're going to name action aspects of your nemesis. And so you can discover new ones through investigation and then mark them off through violence, essentially, or more investigation. And by marking them off, you're slowly undermining the nemesis's or your adversary's operation, right? So the more of these checked off, the more you've undermined their operation. And then by the time we get to the end, the more you've undermined, the more you've dismantled their operation, the easier it will be to defeat them. So that's kind of how the game is structured. And so by doing this, we can mark aspects of the boss. So we've one of them that we've revealed just through the course of the fiction is this set of goons called the Gas Squad. And I apologize for that name. So the way I've been doing this, because basically together you are making a single roll, I have each of you roll a d6. Normally in PBTA, character would roll the d6, 2d6, but since you are working together, each of you rolls 1d6. We add those together, and then add your trust, which at this point is just level 0 here. These are the collaboration styles, which sort of are meant to influence the fiction of how you work together. The greater your trust, the more you can kind of work in concert. Right now, and this I think suits what's happening in the fiction, united but separate. You're largely working independently, though 13 is feeding you information, feeding Fortune information, but you're working towards the same goal, which is to get rid of this squad. So sorry for that long preamble. Let's get to the rolling. I'm going to stop sharing again. Does anyone have any questions about all of that? That was a fire hose of.
No, seems good.
So each of you rolls a d6, and we'll see what happens. Rod, are you okay using the online dice roller?
I'm just trying to. So add dice to your roll. I click the D6.
You click on the d6.
Right.
Click roll, which is a teal colored button.
Okay, at the bottom. Got it.
So you rolled lots of different dice there.
Did I just roll more dice than I
Yes,
intended to?
you rolled 2d6 and a fudge die, which is cool.
How did I do that?
So
I think the plus like looks to me like a button that takes an action. So, but it's a fudge die. So
yeah.
Okay.
So why don't you?
I've done that. I did that myself the first time I used the new silent die room.
So why don't you roll again just to get us?
There we go.
Here we go. 6. And
6.
you rolled really great. So that's a 6 plus 4 is a 10 plus 0 is a 10 on your trust roll or on your coordinated attack. So the good news here is you can mark an aspect of the boss. So you've defeated these guys, and we can bump up your trust level. So things are going well for the team so far. So I will take care of the bookkeeping for you. Your trust score is still 0, but now you've kind of climbed up the trust ladder a bit. With your 10 plus, I want to hear what this looks like. So maybe Fortune, will start with you. How does your defeat of these goons look in the pages of this comic book that we are reading?
Oh, fists and feet flying, jumping on the back of one guy, guiding one to hit the other, and mentally, I guess, like trying to figure out, maybe have like ghost images of what 13 is feeding me.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Um,
So you're anticipating, like you're throwing a punch before anyone is even there, and then they
Right.
show up to meet your fist. Yeah, I
Right.
love that.
And it's a little bit like trusting my luck, I guess, in a sense, where I'm kind of following my power to guide me.
Nice.
But this is a little different.
Right.
But yeah.
Because you have agility, I sense that your fighting style is more about moving fast than it is about kind of strength and stuff. So is there a sort of a signature move that you have in terms of your fighting style?
A lot of flipping, a lot of jumping and ducking, signature move. Maybe just like striking one way, kicking the other, kind of.
Okay.
Jumping, striking, and kicking.
Yeah, I'm also imagining you kind of like walking up walls, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Not clinging to them, not
right.
but just
kind of like
grabbing someone, using them to leverage you up the wall.
Sure.
And 13, what does this look like from your perspective?
Yeah, so I think that idea, Rod, about you kind of seeing their moves before they make them from my telepathy, I think is perfect. I don't think I can top that. So it's very much in the case of just slowly feeding you the information of what they're about to do. Like they haven't even decided what they're going to do, and I know what they're going to do, and you get that telegraphed to you. So yeah, I think that works.
That's great. Talk to me a little. You've got goons kind of all unconscious around you. 13, you're still technically in your civilian garb.
Yeah, which is a problem.
I would like to hear what this conversation sounds like now that you've defeated all of these goons, and 13 is standing there in his civilian garb as Mr. Baker.
So I think there's a moment, right, where maybe when the dust has settled and Fortune turns towards the door, and all he sees is the back of 13's head, like through the glass panel, and the comic panel then like switches 180, and you see Baker kind of taking a deep breath. But I think we have a building trust, right? We're not there yet, but I think like he turns around to allow Fortune to kind of see his face.
Do you say anything, or you just kind of man a few words?
I think it's something really, really stupidly awkward, like, hey. Like we've been in our heads, but we've never really talked,
right.
Never been face to face. So it's like comic cut. Yeah.
How do you react? What do you say?
I will. I'll say. Oh. Um. Familiar voice, new face. Are you hurt?
Uh, I think, I rub my shoulder because, holding the door, is obviously easy for a real superhero, but not for 13. Um, I'll be okay.
Okay.
Did did you see anyone downstairs? A friend of mine went down just before all of this broke up. So
I, there was a lot of chaos, but I didn't see any casualties. I'm. Can you sense any more of these? And I'll gesture to the fallen gas heads.
yeah, so I think like the door's open and I step through and I'm kind of looking at their setup, what gear they're carrying, like what does that mean their mission was? Does that mean there's like another team in the building? I'm not like throwing out the telepathy senses yet, but I'm just kind of working out almost exactly what the mission was from what they're carrying.
So
in a kind of Sherlockian way, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can trigger another move here called systematic investigation, where
Okay.
two of you are working together to kind of search these bodies, essentially, and figure out what they were up to. Does that sound all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So same deal. When you together search a location, do some research, talk to a witness, describe your approach with a collaboration style, and roll plus trust. So I'm assuming you're kind of just going through the bodies independently. Is there anything else that you are looking around or looking for? I'll start with 13.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what the kind of collaboration style is. I wonder if there's like if 13 points out like some markings on the boots or the style of the boots or the style of the gloves, and like he doesn't have the kind of technical knowledge to know exactly what that means, but I think
Right.
Fortune does. Right? It's like whatever special forces ninja gear they have means something to in Fortune's professional expertise.
Fortune, does that sound like something you're trained in? Was that part of your training, or is he making assumptions about you?
I might have a little security knowledge just from working for a security company, but I don't know that I've been had any formal training in that.
Right.
Kind of.
You're not like a forensic expert or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
I like how he's pointing things out, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that does look important."
I won't lay that out on the table, but I will. I'll check if there's any gear, if they have any gear.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Okay, cool. So we'll do another roll. So each of you rolls a d6, and we'll add your trust, which is a 0. So I see an 8 there, which says to me we can reveal an aspect of the boss, and then we pick one from the trust list. So the trust list is sort of based on how you go about doing your approach, is the negative consequences or the costs. So I think you were using the united but separate. So you have, I will cut and paste the choices into that. So you into the chat. So these are one of the costs here. You do have an option to mark a stress to go from an 8 to a 10 plus. So we can have one of these costs, or you can mark stress to not have to pick one of these costs. Am I making any sense whatsoever?
How much stress do we have?
So you have 5 stress. When you mark the last stress, that's when you have a setback. So if you're really aggressive and marking a lot of stress, we'll probably get to a setback in this session. But usually it takes like 2 sessions to get to a real setback.
That's shared, right, between the two of
Yes,
us?
yes, stress.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like it's stress on the relationship.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of obvious one there that's already kind of set up is one character's tie arrives during the aftermath, but I don't know
yeah, I
how
like
you feel, Rod. Yeah.
What do you think, Rod?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Because Suzanne showing up is kind of a no-brainer, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Though on one side, it's also kind of giving 13 like what he is most wanting right at this moment, right? To know that she is safe.
And making your life complicated because
that's true also. Yeah, yeah.
You appear to be working with Fortune. So all right, so let's do the bookkeeping first. You can mark an aspect, or actually, no, I'm sorry, I'm reading from the wrong list. I reveal an aspect of the boss. So I'm trying to think what you might find on them. That is a hang on just a sec. I think you find trying to think of how to frame this as an aspect of the boss. I think you find let's say just a device that would allow them to hack into the control center. And it sort of suggests to you that they wanted to gain information about all the different ways in which the city is going to make use of green energy. So I'll just call that hacking system for control command center.
Does it seem like an advanced piece of equipment?
Yes. It's like I'm thinking it's sort of like do you remember in Avengers when Tony Stark kind of hacked into the helicarrier computer? He had that little thing that he attached to the side of the computer.
Okay.
Well, I remember that. And so he had like a little bug that he attached to the side of the computer. And so it's sort of that kind of thing. It's like when you're searching their pockets, there's really not much there, but there's this device that you sense, because they were trying to break into the command center, would allow them to get into the command center's computers.
I take it.
Does that sound okay? Oh, you take the device. Okay.
So it's like a plug and play device, right? It's so
right.
Like we're not thinking that one of these goons is a hacker, but like someone back in base is kind of running the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Lord Petrol is probably the one pushing the buttons. Yeah. Cool. So just as Fortune, you're taking this from the pocket, Suzanne walks back through the door, and she's like, Baker, do you two know each other?
Oh, I'll interrupt if that's okay. I mean, just to
sure.
Yeah, to save it. Yeah, I say, your friend was very valuable in alerting the security of these intruders. Are you safe, ma'am?
I think she's carrying a tray with Starbucks cups in it. She's like, yeah, I just went out for Starbucks and then I saw that mess downstairs. What she's nervous around someone who's as prominent a figure as Fortune. What happened?
So I'll turn to Baker. Can you see to her safety? I need to make sure the premises is safe.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I will. Yeah, if you like need any more information, you can call me, right? Um, are you just gonna leave those guys here, or there's someone will clean up?
Yeah, she's looking at them like, "What did you do?"
They won't wake up for a while.
Baker,
But
Baker, did you do this?
No, not. I've not done my taekwondo in quite a few years, so no, I couldn't.
Wow,
I was hiding behind the door.
nice. Yeah, that sounds more like you.
Oh, thanks.
I got coffee for everybody except you.
Oh,
sorry, man. I just must have slipped my mind.
it was a tough order. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, yeah.
There was this big thing going on. Obviously, good timing.
Who was? What happened? Who's responsible for all of this?
Some, I don't know, Lord Oil or something, Lord Petrol. Once doesn't like green energy. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous. Well, why don't we? Is the command center secure? Is the command center okay?
Yeah, they didn't get in, so I think we're good. We're good to go. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we're good to go. I think we're good to just sit around and wait till the boss calls us to tell us what's going on.
All right. Well, maybe we should finish up in there. I don't know what you're doing out here, messing with these guys. We have a lot of work to do to finish setting up the command center. We're on a deadline.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe I was in the back hooking up our the servers, so I should get back on that.
I'm sort of playing her like she doesn't necessarily really 100% like you. Is that
sure? Yeah, I mean, or I'm just a guy at work, and
just a guy at work.
And not a guy who is like a natural leader in work, right?
Right.
So like it's I'm just a worker bee, again, a very good worker bee, but maybe she has to prod me to get me to do things normally. So this is a normal dynamic for them.
Yes. Yeah, she's like, well, all right, well, let's let Fortune, do the real hero work, and let's just go back to our jobs now.
Yeah, and yeah, and like the obviously, he's doing his alter ego stuff, but Fortune probably sees like a marked change,
okay,
chalk and cheese in as soon as she appears, and he goes back to his code monkey self, right?
Yes, yeah, I love that. He's now Clark Kent again. So yeah, I love that. That's great. I kind of want to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll thank Baker for his assistance. Try to boost them up a little if I can, and I'll just kind of do a thing, and I'll teleport back towards the street.
Oh, nice! What a good friend you are. What a good friend you are. We all should have a wingman like Fortune. So I feel like I want to we don't need to dwell on this. I kind of want to hard frame further ahead. I'm curious how do you sort of coordinate your activities? I think it's clear to each of you that you can't defeat Lord Petrol on your own, so you're going to have to work together. How do you sort of coordinate meeting up later. What does that look like?
I definitely have a business card that I'll have given him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Suzanne's like, can I get a copy of that business card? She's very interested.
No.
How does Donna, how does 13 or Baker kind of spend their time? Let's say you're sort of agreeing to meet up a little bit later. How do you spend your time, maybe between work and the meetup?
I think that address that we got from Lord Petrol has probably been put on news channels or whatever, if they're doing that kind of thing. But maybe he's tracking down the kind of, where it was broadcast into, and like taking it apart, like trying to look for clues in the signal, like where exactly did it come from, where was it recorded, all that kind of stuff, or where is it transmitted? Is it like background image or just like background noise or whatever? So it's a little bit of detective work, right, in terms of his enhanced perception.
Okay. So, and is this a computer activity, or are you just sort of like doing like Charles Xavier, sort of reaching out?
I think it's like one slowly drifting to the other, so the kind of basics are all built up on the computer, and then it's kind of more like the telepathy side of things.
Okay, great. Do you have an apartment in the city somewhere? Is that where you're doing this, or are you a secret lair?
Yeah. I think maybe it has to be in City Hall, right? Because that's where the signal was sent to originally. So I am under the guise of like working at our deadline, just staying over late and doing it there.
Okay. All right. Let's pause on that for a sec. Fortune, what is sort of your kind of set of activities that you're doing? You've mayor secure, that's all fine, but you've set up a time to meet with 13 later. What are you doing between then and now?
So I do deliver the device to to my company.
Okay.
That we pulled off. And I guess we'll try to see what tempting targets Lord Petrol might strike next.
Okay, good.
Just from what's in development so far with the mayor and the city.
Okay, so let's do this. Gosh, time flies when you are playing superheroes. So I've got a move called Go It Alone, and I think this fits with what Baker is doing, just kind of doing something on his own without the help of his partner. So maybe Donna, we roll that, and then we do a little bit of collaborative brainstorming to identify other targets for Lord Petrol. So when you work by yourself to overcome a threat or learn something new, which is what I think you're doing, mark stress and say what you're trying to accomplish. If you're going against a revealed aspect of the boss, roll at a disadvantage. So technically you're not going against a revealed aspect of the boss. Well, you're going against actually the boss's name.
Yeah.
So
I mean, also hacking system for command center.
yeah.
I certainly wouldn't be upset if you said that I'm going at that.
Yeah, yeah. So the price is fairly high. So you're going to mark stress.
Yeah.
Roll at a disadvantage, but you can roll plus your power tags. How many of your power tags would you say are relevant here?
I think we're talking enhanced perception and maybe telepathy. If we're going for
that sounds good.
Of double Professor X kind of thing. Okay. So I'm rolling 3d6, taking the worst 2 and plus 2.
Right.
So that is an 8.
Yeah, not bad. So a 7 to 9 is you accomplish your goal and you pick 2. I will cut and paste the options into the chat.
So, yeah, I wonder if leave evidence of my activity works. And then I'm not sure how this sounds to you, Rod, but make your partner suspicious is kind of interesting. Like, do you come in to see like the tail end of the investigation and you see something that doesn't look right, or will we play away from that, given that we're only just starting?
That's fine. Yeah.
I mean, you were already a bit suspicious because he's a free agent.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And here he is doing something, uncoordinated with you about the danger that you're gonna solve, right? So yeah, I think it feeds into that.
Yeah, I love that. I think maybe Fortune shows up, or you hear some activity, so you have to like abandon whatever you're doing, and so maybe you had set up a chair and sort of plugged something in, or like there's things were not left as they were before. So that's what I'm imagining as leading evidence of your activity. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I mean, we'll find out exactly who finds it later on, and then
Right.
maybe we can retcon some extra stuff in. Yeah.
I think Suzanne's going to find it. I think, and this is my style as a GM, because I would rather all of us work from the same ideas, but I'm imagining Suzanne ends up being Lord Petrol.
Okay.
I mean, I'm open to other ideas, but that's sort of where my head is going. So, Fortune, what about 13's behavior makes you suspicious of him?
Clearly, well, it's kind of weird that he was at the center of the attack. Maybe not necessarily working with Lord Petrol, but certainly maybe someone who's in his radar, or maybe has some association that he hasn't disclosed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there something like I'm imagining maybe he's late to your meeting too. Maybe that's part of what's going on. Like I don't know, Baker, do you see yourself being like 5 or 10 minutes late, like just enough to kind of create this sense of, is he even coming?
Yeah, maybe I'm deep and I'm just about to be successful in this tracking task, so I don't want to take a break, and maybe it's just taking a bit longer than I anticipated.
Right.
And so I haven't even had time to kind of pick up the phone to send a text message, or on our secret signal channel, right, whatever it is,
right,
to say running late.
And that's enough.
Yeah.
So because you were a success, I'm going to give you, and you were specifically looking for his, like, the source
of location, right, or the source of the signal, I guess, is how we framed it.
So we can make it interesting, and we can say the security company headquarters. So the security company that Fortune works for was the source of the signal for Lord Petrol's broadcasts. Does that sound okay? Or did you have something else in mind?
I don't think I had anything else in mind, but that certainly makes me paranoid, right?
Fortune, are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and maybe so when 13 arrives at their rendezvous, he's thinking a little bit about what he's just discovered, and wondering if he can trust Fortune.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a vibe between you two. Before we take a break, one thing that I've tried to do when I play this game is just sort of brainstorm locations in the city where bad things might happen. I mentioned a little bit about sort of what I was imagining kind of the situation is in terms of setting up green energy. but let's just maybe think of a couple of other locations where maybe another confrontation and our final confrontation could happen. I don't know, Donna, do you have any ideas based on kind of the green energy thing where another attack might happen?
Yeah. Do we think there's like a bank of wind turbines out in the bay, overlooking the city?
Yes, I love that. I want there to be something happening.
Dangerous turbine blades. What could
Yes.
possibly go wrong?
It's a good thing that you can predict the future, and that fortune is good luck. Fortune, or I guess I should say, Rod. Do you have any ideas for locations?
Yeah, no, I was actually thinking the wind turbines as well. So and we'll just make it at nighttime if that's
yeah, we're heading tonight. I also have this idea that maybe there's this sort of sprawling business complex, and they've done a lot of greening of the building. So there's like trees and stuff all over it. You know how they're trying to do more of that, kind of making buildings like have trees and stuff. And there's like a huge solar panel. What is it called? Complex array on top of the building.
Could there be like ivy or vines growing up this skyscraper in
Yes.
kind of a juxtaposition of nature and technology, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And actually the solar panels it's like one of the tallest buildings in your city, and it's got solar panels all up and down the facade as well, since it's so exposed to the sun. I grew up in New York City, so I'm used to being around very tall buildings, and sometimes I wish they had solar panels on the outside. All right, friends, we're at 1 minute past the hour. I'm ready to take a break. Let's take 10, so we'll come back at 11 past the hour. Sound good? See you shortly. Yes, it is. All right. We ready to get started again? All right. So we have about 15 minutes left. So much to do, so little time. You are all now at your meetup. Where is this happening? Where in the city did you decide to meet up, Rod? Where do you think Fortune and 13, what's their rendezvous point?
The scene of the attack from the afternoon.
So they're back at City Hall.
Yeah, maybe like at that stage or whatever the platform was.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's probably still cleanup crews in there, who are, which is fine, who are like trying to get this black goop off of everything. But I could see meeting up there. But I imagine now 13, you are in your cape garb. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think I've switched for this meetup, especially if we're going to be going somewhere afterwards with our hot lead,
Yeah, so you do have some information that you've shared, but things are a little tense between you. So I kind of want to hear the conversation between you two about sort of planning what to do or deciding what to do next. You've got a couple different leads and things. So 13, how do you broach the subject?
Yeah, I think so. When I tell Fortune like where the signal came from, I'm really carefully looking at him and his reaction to what might really be going on over there.
Right. So yeah, my reaction would be sincere surprise, and then I'll quickly postulate that it was somehow bounced. The signal was bounced through us to throw off the original source.
I mean, it seems it's no mean feat to infiltrate a security company and use them as as a double blind, or
I agree. I agree.
you trust everyone over there?
I mean, I everyone I know, but it's large enough company that there might be people I'm unfamiliar with. I mean, it's Lord Petrol knows that we are working with the city. It's not far fetched to say that he would try to cast suspicion on us.
I wonder if the security company is also sort of one of the flagship, like their headquarters building is one of the flagship kind of greening buildings, right? So there's sort of an irony in that as well.
So I don't know what you think. Do we try to identify this fifth column within your group, or do I try to track them down some other way?
Yeah. I hold on. I'm gonna radio in and let my company know. Let my superior know that
Nice.
that there might have been a hack or something
Nice.
at that time.
So like 13 will put up a finger, like, so do you think maybe it'd be best to keep this between ourselves? You know, the further this goes, the more likelihood of us being rumbled.
Well, you asked me if I trust the people I work with. I'm calling someone I trust.
Do you trust that they won't send a memo to someone they trust that maybe you don't trust or you don't know?
The paranoia runs deep. I love it.
That's fine. I mean, if I trust their judgment, and if someone is alerted, then all the more reason to think that um, they'll save us time and come after us.
Oh, you happen to be a goat. I'm not a particularly good goat to tether out. How about you put some misinformation in the little snippet you're sending to your boss? Yeah, you know, if it does get out, we set a trap of our own.
And what are you suggesting?
How about say that we have captured one of the goons and are currently interrogating them? If Lord Petrol fears what they might know, then a rescue attempt or
Okay.
just an assassination attempt might be forthcoming.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not in the habit of lying to my boss. So what I will do is tell them that I'm working with someone who did an independent investigation and has discovered something. I will give them a location where we can set up an ambush, and see what happens. Although I'm not confident that this won't be a waste of time.
Okay. We'll call that meeting halfway.
Right.
Nice. That was great, guys. So, Rod, what sort of information, like what are we thinking you're going to kind of plant? Is the idea that you're going to sort of say, we're going to go stake out a location to see if you all get ambushed there? Is that the idea? Or
Right. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, I do like. Right. Yeah. Yeah. we'll set up. Yeah, we'll set them. We'll try to set them to come to a certain location, with the implication that we found something important and are investigating there. And if we want to make it, we can make one of those locations we discussed before, either the skyscraper, if that fits,
Or the wind farm.
or the wind farm. Yeah.
Or is it that you're saying I don't know, is the idea that you're going to tell them you're investigating something so that maybe they attack something else because they know your plan, but you're actually going to the other place?
Oh.
Or should we not overthink this, as I am sometimes want to do? So.
I mean, I think the simple, we're going to be in this place, you better come attack us, is straightforward enough. And I guess we're like, as a player, right, we're not for sure saying that Fortune's organization is, corrupt or infiltrated.
No.
Maybe they're just tracking 13, right, through Suzanne, right?
Right.
So they always know where he's going to be anyway.
Right.
So we're like leaving the exact leak up, but we're planning. We're acting as if there's going to be a leak on his side, but actually it's on mine or something.
Okay. So where do you all want to head? So I'm assuming Fortune's made that call. The company is now informed of kind of what you've learned. Where are you? Which lead are you investigating now? Where of all the things that we've talked about in terms of the location of where the broadcast came from, in terms of them kind of wanting to take down different green energy sites throughout the city. Is your inclination to try and go protect one of those sites, maybe to infiltrate the company or the headquarters where the thing was coming from, the broadcast was coming from? Where are you headed next? What lead are you pursuing next?
I think Fortune is less inclined to believe that there is going to be an attack. So maybe if we go to the skyscraper, which is a little bit more central to the city, at least from there we have a shorter distance to move to a place that turns out to be if we're needed elsewhere, we can get there quicker if we're in a central area.
Yeah,
that's
I mean it's a prime greening location also, so it fits either way, right? So we're kind of hedging our bets a little bit, right?
So you're is this where the broadcast was coming from, the company headquarters, or is this some other building? I misunderstood it.
I was thinking the skyscraper, but either one can fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that do we think that's the company's headquarters, or is that just some other?
Oh, I don't know. Sure. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Is that what we had established earlier?
That the signal had come through the company HQ.
Yes.
But we hadn't really decided that this was the place we were going to set our ambush, right? But it could be either.
So we'll just say it's this big skyscraper. That's not the company headquarters, but you are headed there maybe because you've got some intelligence that is a potential target to disable the green technology there. I think that sounds reasonable. I also wonder if maybe the investigation or the Fortune, you delivered the bug to your company. Maybe they've informed you there's a series of targets, and that one, based on their algorithms, is the most likely next target. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
How are you staking out this building? Are you on the roof? Are you inside? What do you think? I'll start with 13. Where do you go to stake out this building?
I think maybe I think it makes the most sense maybe for me to be inside the building, maybe on a kind of foyer overlooking, um, or at least like a location halfway up or something like that, where I can kind of get a good look around the surrounding area. Work my powers to their best advantage.
Okay. And Fortune,
Do
what
you,
is? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just wondering, in terms of communication, do you think, like, obviously the both times that 13 has kind of used telepathy were like emergency, but have we like replaced that with a normal communicator, just as a kind of, I'm not gonna push signals into your brain unless it's an absolute emergency, like a kind of like a, I won't say a détente, but kind of an agreement on what's acceptable, right, between the two of us.
Is that your preference? I mean, they're actually they're clearly tech savvy, so
Yeah.
I'm willing to use telepathy if.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe 13 makes the offer, and
Okay.
you maybe the paranoia is rubbing off a little bit, right?
I mean, I could totally see Fortune being like, "Here's a radio, stay out of my head." But I like the idea that the mission comes first, and we don't want them to hack into our radios.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And Fortune, where are you in situating yourself?
So I'll say that my teleportation works like line of sight, and I'll probably just like hop from different rooftops of surrounding area, and kind of be a moving surveillance, I guess, to see, you know, from different angles if there's any activity.
Okay.
But I'll probably stay high.
Okay. So as you are sticking out the building, you hear kind of a rumbling sound that sounds really far away. I think it's sort of setting you off, but it's like in terms of you're like, oh, there's something going on, but it's not really abundantly clear what's happening. And within seconds, I think 13, you've got kind of a premonition of the panels on the building that like falling off. What's surprising is that the noise suddenly gets very loud, and a giant tank-like vehicle emerges from the ground beneath the building, and kind of starts to make its way up the side, like it's crawling up the side. And it's got these cow catchers type things that are just like shedding the solar panels off the side of the building. So you've got solar panels kind of falling off the side of the building. It's night. There's maybe not a lot of people down below, but it is a city, so there's still people down below. And of course, who knows what it's doing to the people inside the building. So giant tank-like thing crawling up the building, pulling off the solar panels. Fortune, what do you do?
It's right. Is it on the side of the building or inside?
Yeah, it's like it's got something that allows it to kind of crawl up the side of the building.
Yeah.
I'm picturing it like like a tank, but just crawling up a building.
Is it about the size of a tank, or?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will try to teleport on top of it and cling onto it. See if I can see if there's any windows or I can see inside.
Love it. 13, what are you doing?
I mean, I have a cheeky thought, but feel free to mix it. I wonder if we found, one of those kind of black goo grenades that didn't go off in the city hall, and I wonder if that was to go off under these like sucker tracks or whatever this thing has. It would like loosen the grip.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about how you are working together to pull this off.
So you're like Fortune, right, is zipping, from line of sight to line of sight, and maybe it's a little bit difficult because it's at nighttime, and so you're kind of almost confined to where the lights are in this plaza, and on top of the buildings. And so maybe I've got to like give you a vision of where you're zipping to next, right, in your head, so you can go there even though you're going blind. Nice. And then we have like coordinated it. Like maybe the window opens, even though if that's improbable for a skyscraper, but hell, it does on this balcony, right? And I'm dropping out one of these goo grenades, like to where I know you're going to be on top of this tank in like 4.5 seconds or whatever it is. How does that sound?
Sounds good. I like it.
And then Fortune is responsible for kind of dropping it onto the
building. Yeah. So like, I think it's got to be maybe jammed in right where the tracks are going to go and to explode there to have best effect. So like he's got to zip in, put out his hand, catch it, and then like put it down underneath the tracks.
Perfect. Fortune, you want to add anything to that?
Yes. So once it goes off and the tank is falling, I am gonna like teleport zipping down to the ground to make sure that it doesn't land on anyone, or that it's clear.
Mm-hmm. That was great. So let's with this is called coordinated attack. We've done this before. So you're each going to roll a d6, and we will add your trust score, which stubbornly remains at 0. So each roll a d6. Nice and fine. So you rolled an 8, which means you'll be successful. You get to mark an aspect of the boss, but you'll have to pick one from the trust list. Alternatively, you can use your duo power's power to mark that to bump up the roll to the next level. You may recall that your duo power is powers combined, which seems like a actually fairly reasonable thing to activate, and that means you will not have to pay a cost really for this success. So you go from a 7 to 9 to a 10 plus. Do you want to mark? You might as well. We are done in 30 minutes. So would you like to?
I think it works also. Like there's like a moment of real trust from both of us also. Like this is not as simple as the last time we combined our powers. It's definitely a big risk, right? So
right.
I think we're
Rod, is that okay with you?
That's fine. Yeah.
All right. So you bumped up to a 10 plus, so we can mark an aspect of the boss and increase trust. So your trust level is now so many spreadsheets. Is now at a 1. And I added the green skyscraper to the boss aspect, so we can mark that. You've got 2 marked, which means that when you roll to finally confront the boss, you'll get to roll at a +2. Let's see. Just sure. Yes. All right. So you were successful. Walk me through exactly kind of how this plays out. You've exploded you've exploded the black goo grenade or black goo thing. What happens to the tank, 13? Does the tank just kind of come to a stop, or does it start to slide? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we kind of see a moment where, the tracks run over the grenade, and then there's like a little shockwave in the glass, right?
Nice.
Right underneath it. Like the tank doesn't move, but then like it just keeps trundling. But then like after a meter going up, those treads start to slip, right? And then I think we see, as it puts more power into the threads, it starts losing its grip even faster because all of those threads are now covered with that gloop on one side, and then it just kind of swings off as predicted.
Fortune, how do you prevent the tank as well as the solar panels from injuring anyone?
Yeah, I do my teleporting, grabbing people, and
Nice.
getting them out of the way. Trusting having to trust my luck at some points,
Yep.
and
Totally.
yeah.
Like I imagine that sometimes you don't quite have line of sight and you don't
Right.
quite have 13 showing you images in your head. So you're literally using your luck to just make sure you don't teleport into something. Um,
Right.
so
And I will save the people in the truck, in the tank, rather,
yeah, you can't help
well.
yourself, can you, Fortune? Um, yeah, I think that
Is there like a moment where we see like the luck and the agility and the spatial awareness all kind of come into one, where Fortune like zips onto the ground holding one of the people who are in the plaza, and like two kind of solar panels just shatter on either side of them, like they pick the
nice.
exact right spot to zip into.
Mhm.
That's so good. Any other details you want to add? Either?
Not for me.
Maybe I could
I
see
don't
him
think we
like
can handle too much more awesomeness in the scene.
maybe just have like one scene where he actually teleports, grabs a part of the solar panel, and then teleports down to a civilian and uses it as a shield, as more shards now
That's
come
great.
towards them. And,
I also think 13, you get a vibe of Lord Petrol's in the area. I'm trying to, given the time we have left, I want to fast forward us to the boss confrontation. So Lord Petrol is in the area. Let's say not driving the tank. That's a little too on the nose. But maybe they arrive and sort of uh, land on the top of the building, and they start to monologue a bit, saying something along the lines of even the city's greatest heroes cannot stop the fossil fuel industry, and unleashes some kind of mechanism. I got an idea that sort of like unleashes these sound waves, specifically tuned to make solar panels shatter. So all around you, where the solar panels had kind of landed, and on the building, you start to see the panels kind of vibrate, and they're starting to shatter, and the sound is radiating out to ultimately destroy all these solar panels that the city has installed. The boss, let's say for now, is concealed, so you don't know who it is. So let's describe this final battle, and we will do the roll to figure out what the outcome is, and then narrate some epilogues. Does that sound okay? Lord Petrol is at the top of the building, has set off this device, and is waiting for you to come and get them. 13, what do you do?
I mean, I think I'm in the elevator going. Did we say this is the rooftop? Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the roof.
Yeah. So I think I'm in the elevator going up, and I am. Yeah, I've taken out like a tablet, and I am sending like a security update to the network that's controlling the solar panels. And there's like a security mode that kind of basically will make them immune to the sound waves.
Okay.
So like I'm just sitting in the corner in the elevator going up, furiously working to get this pushed out. And then I guess I'll try to be calm when the door opens to the rooftop, and I'm sure Fortune will already be there.
What is your when you do get there? What is your style of attack? Are you? It doesn't strike me as you are a physical superhero. Are you trying to undermine them by getting into their mind? Are you trying to predict what they're going to do so that they, or use your time powers to kind of undermine what they can do?
Yeah, so I guess the kind of established way so far is, that I'll be predicting exactly what they're going to do through the time and then the telepathy as well, and like passing that along to Fortune for him to kick ass. But maybe this time I'm gonna maybe take off the gloves. Maybe the telepathy has another side to it to kind of, you know give him one hell of a migraine kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I wonder.
Um,
It just occurred to me that you might also use your telepathy to identify the frequency at which their brainwaves operate, and you could retune the sound machine uh, to kind of scramble their brain a little
yeah,
bit.
to
We're
to
okay
get a bit
going in that
of
direction.
blowback. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Fortune, how do you approach Lord Petrol?
So I picture that all the solar panels, whatever's left around the building, are shattering. So
Yep.
I'm actually going to teleport from inside the building.
Nice.
I'll find like maybe an elevator shaft and get in there and try to, this way I can try to get as
Yep.
fast upstairs as I can.
Or given that this is probably a building that you've done security for, you go to the security office, you look at the security
love it.
monitor, and you zip through that way.
Yes, so I'll say I take the elevator to the security office and then do just as you said. There are cameras on top, so I'm going to teleport above where Lord Petrol is, and hopefully get a drop on this person.
Sorry, I'm in DC, and so there's always helicopters going by. Sorry about that. It was very on brand though. I feel like also while 13 is kind of messing with Petrol's head, you have a greater opportunity to exert some fisticuffs on, like distracting them a bit. Does that sound right?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. So here's how this works. We roll the take down the boss. When you take down the big boss, describe how. We've done that. And you roll plus the aspects marked. I count 2 aspects marked. So you're each rolling a d6, and then we will add 2. And then we will go from there.
Ooh.
3 for me.
5 plus 2 is a 7. You kind of squeaked it out. So 7 to 9, you defeat the boss, but at a cost. Describe what you lost or gave up. So I think from from Petrol's perspective, they got severe headache. Whatever happened, whatever you did to them, 13, they kind of went down, and Fortune was able to incapacitate them with fistcuffs and agility, but something did not go quite as well. Fortune, what do you think did not go quite your way? What do you think you had to lose or give up?
Oh. I'll have 2 thoughts. Either we're not successful disabling the sound device,
Okay.
or there's something on Lord Petrol that verifies that there's some connection to my security company.
Oh, okay. Like you pull their hood off and they're your boss, or they're the CEO of the security company or something like.
Or maybe they just have some kind of tech on them that I recognize as signature.
Okay. Or the hacking device that you passed over, earlier. Lord Petrol has it again, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's the tech somehow made its way back to Petrol. Yeah, I really like that. 13. What did you lose?
I guess we can still kind of lean into Suzanne being involved somehow, right? Even though we haven't seen that on screen. So
Right.
so maybe maybe in that final confrontation, reading Lord Petrol's thoughts, like they know who 13 is.
Okay.
I think there's some kind of divulging of his secret identity.
Yes, you've lost your secret, essentially.
Yeah.
What does that imply to you? Does that mean you're going to kind of go to ground even more, or does that mean that, like, are all your worst fears confirmed? Is it just emphasizing?
I think it's not just that, people in his life now know who he is, and he has to kind of break contact with them, but also maybe the government agency, who obviously have been keeping an eye out for him, are now back on his trail.
That's great. Is this? Do you remember? I don't know if you watched Spider-Man Far From Home, but there's like that cut scene at the very end where Mysterio reveals Spider-Man's identity by giving it to. Is it that public? Is it like on a big screen in Times Square, or is it just you are aware that this, like, did Petrol kind of set off something to sort of
so it was like almost like a dead man's switch,
right?
Or maybe he was going to do it all along,
right.
Maybe it's not quite that public, but it's posted somewhere and it gets picked up, and it probably gets swamped in the news cycle with this huge attack, right? But the people who know what they're looking for find it.
Is Petrol dead? You defeated him. Is he dead, or is he merely captured? What is Fortune? I mean, Fortune did most of the work here in terms of the beating up. So physically, is he alive or dead, or just?
Yeah, I don't think I would try to kill someone. They're still alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 13, you got into their head. Did you leave anything there?
I think there's like I think what's going on maybe is that 13 doesn't quite know what's going to happen to Lord Petrol after this, and he has planted like a seed, not like a tracking seed, but like something that he can detect later on if he wants to go looking for them.
Okay.
Or if they escape or let escape, So a little bit of a psychic tracker.
Okay, nice. Do we know Petrol's identity? Is this someone important, or is it just some random person?
I mean, do we think that maybe in the same way that like Fortune is the kind of superhero front to his company, maybe Lord Petrol has been created by a conglomerate of big oil?
Oh, nice. Yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I wish we had more time. I would totally play to find out what that means. So. Let's do some epilogues. Donna, tell us about what does the future hold for 13?
Yeah, I guess we kind of see him sitting in a dingy diner, right? Hood up, eating, the kind of the most bang for your buck calories in the cafe, like when you're scrounging on your cash and you just want to get yourself set up for the day, and scrolling through dark web sites to try to track people down, or to try to figure out who might be after him or who he can turn to for help.
Has he stayed in touch with Fortune?
Um, I think so, or maybe they have like a dead drop, electronic or physical, that they have kind of agreed in that final or after that final confrontation before the dust settled and everyone official swooped in. You know,
Does
so
Baker? Sorry.
so yeah, I think they have a way of contacting each other for when they need each other, right?
And does he still work for the company, or did Baker leave? I guess he had to go to ground because everyone knows.
Yeah, he has gone to ground, maybe doing, you know, odd jobs or hacking mixers for people to keep some cash flow.
Nice. Rod, tell us about Fortune's future.
Right. So I think that he will put out the fiction that since it's known that 13 was there, that he oh gosh, how do I say this? So I don't want people to think that he's working with 13 anymore, that there was some kind of falling out at the fight. And this will serve both of us, because for the first time I need someone who's out of the hierarchy and the corporate to investigate what needs investigating, now that I know my company is involved. And the flip side, I will help 13 as they can't really show their face out in public too much. I can perhaps go to places that he can't go.
Right. I'm sort of picturing kind of the last scene of our show where Fortune is still the face of the company. And so there's like this super big public event. You know, it's clear you're still kind of a company man. And then that ends, and we see you kind of walking off and going down a dark alley and going down another dark alley and meeting up with 13. And we sort of land on that. Or maybe like that's where the dead drop is, and you're like opening up a message from 13. So it's sort of like we see both sides of Fortune. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I think like symbolically him changing out of his uniform and going to the dead drop, you know, kind of in disguise.
Yes.
The way 13 might have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Like we see him sort of, if it's like each panel of the comic book, we see him sort of taking off a piece of his costume and just revealing his civilian self. Friends, we have come to the end. Oh, sorry, did you have anything else? Okay.
No, I think that's a perfect place to wrap. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels really good. Thank you. That was so much fun. I really love that. I'm proud of this game, but I just really think the players make it. You guys came up with just some great characters. So Rod, I don't know if you've done this Stars and Wishes before.
We did, and the one game I played.
The previous game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Out of curiosity, what game was that you played? You remember?
Oh, it was it's flying out of my head now. Hit the Nazis.
Oh, with Alan.
Nazis. Yes.
I played that last GauntletCon. Oh my gosh, I loved that. I had so much fun in that game. Once I realized, oh wait a minute, this is like pure camp, pure just punching things. I was all in. And Alan's a great GM.
Yeah.
All right, so we will do. I would love to do Stars and Wishes if that is okay with you. And Donna, would you mind if I started with you?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Stars to Rod. Yeah, fantastic playing with you. Some really neat ideas and moves for the character, and I really appreciated how, you know, I set up my character first, and then like you picked a really good complementing to work off that, and you know, I thought it worked really well. And then like the way we kind of slowly built up the trust between the two of us. So yeah, really kudos. And Dan, yeah, I was looking forward to this game. This was the one game I said I'm going to play at GauntletCon or the open weekend. It looks great, and yeah, best of luck with the development.
Oh, thanks.
So hopefully we've been helpful.
Oh yeah, no, it's so good, so good. I like doing stars and wishes together. So Donna, do you?
Okay. I think you already said it, Dan. I would love to keep playing with these characters. Find out what the next graphic collection is going to be like.
Yes. Do you have any feedback for me on the game itself? You played a lot of PBTA. I'd love if you got it.
Yeah. So I guess there's a couple of currencies at play at the same time, right? There's the stress, and there's the ties, and there's the power move. And first time around, at least, it wasn't clear, the differences between those and when they would come into play. So maybe a little bit of I really enjoy those different currencies, and they all mean different things, and I think they're worth keeping in, but maybe it's just a matter of presenting them so that that path is clear. And yeah, I really love those questions in terms of the setup early on, and those ties really add a lot of flavor to the characters, So when I was doing the creation, I didn't really have picking the powers and the kind of the type of duo we were playing was all very well, but I didn't really get a sense of the character till I answered those questions, and then I was locked in. So those questions and those ties are really good stuff.
Good. Do you feel like the order that we did this in terms of picking the relationship first, I can't, that's immovable in my
mind.
But I think so. Powers first, did that make sense to you, or were you expecting your powers last? Or
I think certainly maybe it would be different for the different types of teams, but for the complementary, I think doing the powers first makes sense, because that's what you're kind of defining your team as.
Yeah.
In terms of the complementary nature of them. So maybe, although this would be awkward in terms of design, you have a slightly different path depending on the team up.
Right.
But that might be more trouble than it's worth. I don't know.
Yeah. It's the one thing I've struggled with in this game is sort of giving people kind of a good hook for drawing them into the character creation process. So it's something I've been noodling on and thinking about. So that was great. Did you have any other thoughts or feedback for me?
Not jumping out at me. I really like the way you deal with the kind of the big bad, right? You're slowly kind of unveiling and defeating it, and then working up to defeat the main villain, and so that works really nicely.
I thought that this was a great test, because I didn't plan ahead, so I didn't have any of that planned out. Just trying to force myself to see, could I think of aspects on the fly? And I think, there was one or two hiccups in there, but I felt pretty good about where that ended up. So great. Thank you much for that, those thoughts and that feedback. Rod, it's your turn. Do you have stars for us?
Oh yeah, yes. Stars for you both. I enjoyed the game a lot. And it just messes. When you have two people, it has to it has to work. So and I think it did. I agree with I like the ties in the beginning. That definitely gave it a superhero flavor. So that was cool.
Great.
Let's see. I know you had mentioned the lethal weapon analogy. I was curious, how certain of those the relationships would work. Like the admirable society kind of seems like it's contradictory to that. But I mean, maybe it can work. I don't know.
Yeah, just to answer your question. I mean, do you mean if I were doing this for a cop show instead of a superhero show, or just in general?
I thought one of the central themes of the game was that there's this conflict of opposites, So if they're admiring each other, I guess there could still be some kind of conflict of rivalry, a friendly rivalry, or
Right.
difference of opinions and styles.
I also see that sometimes as like you're kind of blinded by your own admiration for the person. And so even though you respect them, you don't know how to work with them.
Yeah.
So, which
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I never said that out loud before, but I feel like is kind of a true statement. Like, I can think of even in my professional life, like there are people I look up to, but I wonder, like, could I really work with them? Like, how long would it take us to build up the trust to work together? So, but that's a good thought. Did you have any wishes, which I know is usually something we do to set up next time, but sometimes I use that of like anything you wish you had done differently, or anything you wish any of us had done differently, anything you would do differently if we were playing again.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we had more time to allow like for role playing. I mean, I guess that's like probably a common wish you hear. Yeah, I wish we had more time and really saw different aspects of the characters, explore them more. But that's of course a time constraint thing. So yeah, I don't think there's I think there's nothing beyond that.
And any feedback for me on the game itself as I
I
continue to tinker with it?
Yeah, I like the mechanic of the learning the aspects of the villain and having that affect the outcome. I thought that's cool. Um, I like the different relationships between the that you can choose from. Um, yeah, and I wish I could see. I wish I could have seen more of the mechanics um, within the 3 hours. I don't think I really saw everything there.
Oh no, yeah, no, we didn't get to do any downtime stuff. And in a one shot, it's kind of hard to sort of put a lot of um, pressure, like mechanical pressure, on
Right.
you, because the mechanical pressure is the stress meter or using up the currencies, and there's really just not enough time to do that in just a one shot. So
Right.
it doesn't make me wonder if I should sort of create a flavor of this that's designed specifically for one shots to create more mechanical pressure. Great. As far as me, or I guess Rod, did you have any other feedback for me?
Nah, I had fun.
Rod, did you have any? Since this is your second Gauntlet game ever, did you have any questions for us about the Gauntlet?
From my understanding, it's the calendar is released each month, and then it's first come first serve sign up. But the Patreon have whatever time frame um, that they can sign up
Earlier?
earlier. Yeah. Um,
You,
is that just I guess that's basically the gist of it.
yeah, I mean that's again mechanically that is correct. We have a Slack group as well.
Right.
Did you get invited to that?
Yes, I asked the last DM Alan to
Fantastic, great.
get me there.
Yeah, there's a lot of, if you're like this hobby, there's a lot of value there, and just the amount of experience and warmth and friendliness in the community is has been energizing for me. So as an amateur game designer and someone who loves playing these games, just finding this group of like-minded people has been a godsend, really. So
I did have a question.
yeah.
Is it tend more to be campaign or one shots, or is it fairly balanced between them?
The vast majority of the games are over a month.
Okay.
And so it's 4 or 5 sessions over a month. We're seeing more people introduce what they're calling quarterlies, which is basically 3 months at a time.
Oh.
Those don't necessarily correspond to the quarter of the calendar. They're just 3-month long campaigns. I'm starting one up. I'm playing in one in starting in July. So it's a real mix. The one shots, sometimes they're one shots on the regular calendar, but usually those are during these conventions, these Google Gauntlet Open Gaming sessions. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I have one last question. Do you find that a lot of the slots are taken up from the Patreon group, or are there a lot of openings even after that?
Slots are fairly competitive.
Okay.
So like games tend to fill up, and it depends on the time zone. Or what time zone are you in?
I'm on the East.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
East
New
Coast
York.
time zone stuff fills up pretty fast. Um, um,
And I'd
but
say, if you get on the wait list, you will, often get brought through, and you'll see a lot of generosity. If someone can't make all 4 sessions or whatever, they're probably going to drop out from them and let someone else take all 4 sessions. And then the other thing I would say is, if you have trouble getting onto a game, or if there's a game you really want to play, like just put up a message on the Slack and someone will save you a spot.
yes,
And then the other thing is sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm running a game or a 4 session long campaign, and for the first couple of days we're gonna restrict it to people who have just joined recently or who haven't been able to get into games recently." So there's a lot of that. I mean, I think people are aware that
it's a bummer.
for a regular vanilla slot, that those depending on the time zone and the game, they're going to sell like hotcakes, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of, I guess, acceptance of that, and then people working around it in different ways.
Yeah, and honestly, the waitlist is your friend. I mean, you got in the waitlist for this game,
Yes.
and there were 2 people in front of you. So it's just, no one's paying for these events. So I think and when life gets in the way of a role-playing game, life gets in the way. And so almost every one of the games that I've ever hosted, people have gotten in off the waiting list because stuff comes up. I also tend to put my games up sort of 1 or 2 months in advance. So people will see it and they'll sign up, and then they'll be like, "Oh wait, that's my kid's birthday," or whatever. So they have to drop out. So yeah, I definitely agree with the wait list. I also have started running games just for new people. I haven't done it very often, but every, a couple times a year, I'll just say, we'll set up a game that's specifically only for new Gauntleteers. So you've only played in a few games, you've only been a member for a few months, that kind of thing. So
I think the last series I ran was Brinkwood, 5 sessions, and I was for new people. So and it's cool too, because you got to play with 4 people I've never played with before.
Right.
So, so yeah, I mean, I think it's, and then I would say maybe half the time I'm posting stuff now, I'll kind of make a case for new members,
right.
Especially if it's the week or 2 after an open weekend, people have kind of settled in and are looking for games. You make a fresh posting and kind of ring fence it for a while.
All right, friends, I enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed our game very much. Thank you so much for taking the chance on this little game of mine.
Thank you.
I really loved our story. I loved your characters. I've not played with that particular relationship before, the complementary powers, so I appreciate your testing that out for me. I will wrap this up. Is it okay if I post this recording to my YouTube channel, where my mom is the only subscriber? So the elderly New York contingent will be very interested in this. All right, friends. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Rod. See you
Thanks
again.
both of you. Thank you.